Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Washington County Quorum Court meeting for the January 2026. Appreciate everybody being here. Welcome. Welcome to my colleagues. With that, we'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome you with a prayer and pledge. If you will stand with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight for your guidance and your hand upon us as we make decisions for Washington County. I want us to recognize that we are presented with many challenges as one of the more populous counties in Arkansas. And we need your guidance. We need your hands. Open our hearts, open our ears. Let us make the right decisions even though they may be hard. And tonight I want to read from Matthew 7, verses 13 and 14 when it says, "Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." Dear Lord, help us find and help us navigate the narrow gate, not only for ourselves, but most importantly, for every citizen of Washington County. I ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Will you join me in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. Motions with regard to the agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Justice Ecke?
Thank you. Judge, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I have a motion to adopt the agenda by Justice Ecke and a second by Justice Dean. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The agenda has been adopted. Are there any preliminary motions this evening? Justice Dean?
Thank you, Judge. I'd like to make a motion that all ordinances and resolutions be read by title only.
I have a motion to read all ordinances and resolutions by title only by Justice Dean. I believe I heard Justice Lemmy. For the second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Ordinances and resolutions will be read by title only tonight. Next up is the citizens' comment period. We have a 15-minute public comment period with a limit of 3 minutes per person tonight. Come forward, please state your name and where you live in Washington County, and we'll share your views. Thank you. Sir, you're going to have to do me a favor and hit that button on the bottom right there on that microphone. Just,
Yes.
You're live. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Quorum Court. Name is David Baltz, 4459 East Wyman Road. I'm here to report that I've listened to all the Christmas songs. Nowhere in any of the secular or religious songs I got to hear blasted over my treetops to ignore the law for Christmas, to shove aside code and rules you take an oath to uphold. The Stewart Family Christmas Lights Amusement Park is an LLC operated for profit in the middle of a peaceful neighborhood without a conditional use permit on an industrial scale. As a justice in Washington County, I implore you, if you have not read or understand the code of conditional use permits, go have a meeting with Sam, read the code, and then reread it. Not being highly in tune and aware of this code is like having a disease and not knowing anything about it. Conditional use permits and the lack of enforcement of CUP code on businesses operating inside the counties in peaceful hamlets is a disease spreading across the county. It's not just my situation. Thousands of vehicles crowd in the dark and the winding Wyman Road. They stop to observe the lights even before they ever disembark off the road. This is due to the horrendous entrance and exits. It's here where the Stewart family business gives me the gift of not only fearing for my wife and I's safety, but now also every holiday I get the gift of fearing for my 16-year-old daughter will get into an accident or worse, lose her life just feet from her home on the holidays. This is why you need to know the code. You need to understand that even under the cloak of Jesus Christ's birth is a business operating illegally, endangering the majority for a gain of a minority. When the time arrives for this board to vote, please pass ordinance that follows the code, that holds the business to the code. The multiple LLCs operated at 4279 Wyman are not and will not ever comply with conditional use permitting. Thank you. I hope you all have a good night. I do want to say that I do leave early from these, but I do continue to watch. I have to get back to my family, so I appreciate the YouTube posting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Public comments.
Good afternoon. My name is Fred Gully, and as a member of Washington County, I'd like to take the time to speak in support of Gully Ranch. I appreciate you all for what you do and serving, as well as those of you who've taken the time to come out and see the property. The last time I was in front of you all, I was really excited about this project and still am. I feel that it meets as well as exceeds the requirements for a CUP. The last time we were here, we happily complied and reduced the capacity by a third, from 300 down to 200, and we still stand behind that. I hope each of you all received the letter that was shared with you stating that I will maintain the road in accordance to engineering standards that comply with local county regulations and rules, and I'm happy about that. And furthermore, from last time, as I continue to listen to public comment and want to try to be a good citizen of Washington County, as well as a good neighbor, with good conscience, honestly, I looked at the cabins, and although that's not what we're discussing in the CUP, and they met all requirements as far as the setbacks, in good faith and conscience, I can't allow for any of my friends, family, or guests to even be near. So I have decided to move those and eat the costs that I've already done. So the cabins will not be anywhere near any of my neighbors, and I'm complying to that as well. So I'm trying to do everything I can to meet the letter of the law. I also want to state, since the last time, no neighbor in my vicinity has reached out to myself or any of my party. There was one individual from the neighborhood, and I don't know if she wants to be spoken to by name, but she reached out to have a dialogue. And we spent 3 hours at the public library, and although we may have not agreed upon it, I think we found we had a lot more in common than we had as differences. And I learned a lot about genealogy and the history of Black Oak, and it's a very special community that I look to be able to share with others in this event space. Additionally, I have seeked consultant on regenerative farming. So I have brought out an individual that has over 15 years in regenerative grazing. And when you're out at this venue, you'll be able to see actual cowboys on horses moving cattle, because what I've learned, and I've spent a good time, is that if you rotate the animals on the actual landscape, you can have higher yield, and is a much better crop for your animals. So I'm really trying to dig into agriculture, and this event venue is a way to bring people out so that we can educate them, so that we can teach them. And in addition, last time the Girl Scouts, they came up and they've already reached out, and they're trying to find a time where they can come out to the property and we can work through ways in which we can educate them. So I am extremely, extremely excited about this project, and I feel that it meets the conditions, and I hope you all will see that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comments.
Hello.
Should be good.
Hello, my name is Cameron Walker, a citizen of Washington County. I'm from Fayetteville, born and raised. I've known Fred and Gully Ranch for a good while. I'm not here to talk about our relationship. I'm here to talk about the actual ranch part. Fred came up with this idea, a dream that he had about going out and getting a horse ranch. He told me a crazy idea one day. We started building a farm over off his parents' property off of Weddington. Cool thing. We started getting the horses. Nothing new. Like, crazy idea from a good friend, you know? We've been riding horses for 4.5, 5 years now, I'd say. Good while. Me, we're both former athletes. I knew nothing about horses, but I can do a lot of stuff with it. But not only would Gully Ranch be great for, you know, the benefit of a lot of things to this community, just think of giving someone a dream that they have for their self, you know. I see a lot of people up here. I respect y'all for being here. Thank you for coming out to see it, but you can see he's trying to fit the prophet for the book and the mold that he needs to. And for the neighbors, understand that change is different. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it looks different than you do, but it's good for people who have the right heart to do things. So I hope that everybody makes a great decision on this, listens to what they have to say. I've personally walked over pretty much the whole land. I've seen the road built. I've walked the whole land. I promise you, I've built the trails with him that he's done. If anybody has knows anything about this property, I can tell you it's going to be beautiful. So if you come and let this happen, it's going to be great for the community. My son loves going to Uncle Fred's, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. Public comments.
Hi, my name is Andrew Stargaze. I don't usually do stuff like this, so I'm a little nervous, to be honest with you. But I'm in here in support of Gully Ranch. I'm born and raised Rogers, Arkansas. I've lived in Rogers, Fayetteville, Springdale, Bella Vista. I owned property out by the airport, 10 acres for a few years. One thing that is true about Northwest Arkansas is the beauty of the nature of Northwest Arkansas. I watched the population develop from, at the Pinnacle Hills Mall was empty and just farm fields, and now it's developed in what it has today. I've seen a lot of change and a lot of growth, and one thing that I've seen in this community is how much more there is. Yes, there's more buildings, there's more people, but I see more diversity of culture, more diversity of mind, more progress. And this project specifically is an opportunity for people who normally live in the city to experience the beauty of nature who may not have the ability to. By providing services like this, it provides people that ability. Not everybody can afford to purchase such large tracts of land and own them outright. So to have some type of service or some type of opportunity to use that, whether it's through a wedding or through a camping site or whatever it may be, interacting with nature and preserving it so that you can experience it while still living within the city of Northwest Arkansas as a whole. So yeah, I support this opportunity. I think he's followed every law, whether it's local law or engineering, to do it the correct way. I think he will continue to do that. Yeah, so I'm just here to share my support. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Public comments. Just a second. Yep. There you go. Yeah.
My name's Carrie Stoles. I live at 18563 Durham McCord. I have friends and family that live on Black Oak Road. I travel Black Oak Road 6 days a week for work and church, and I am concerned about the impact that the CUP will have on our community. I'm concerned about the hazards that the increased traffic is going to pose to our farmers. There's agricultural equipment. We have a lot of bicyclists that travel this road every day, and multiple times a week I will pass these two-lane roads. Yes, they've been repaved, and I don't know if Mr. Gully had anything to do with how quickly that was done this past year, and it's appreciated, but the roads are still dangerous. There's a lot of curves. My husband and I just this week were coming around a curve, and there's a bicyclist at dusk coming up a curve and very poor visibility. So that plus the livestock, wildlife that's out there, there's a lot of deer accidents and things like that. The CUP is not compatible with the surrounding rural neighborhoods. There's a lot of single-family farms and homes. I also think that this is going to infringe upon the neighbors' rights to enjoy their quiet in their own properties. So there were, and even this time, there were several people who noticed or have mentioned that this Gully Ranch is a place where special needs children could come and encounter animals and horses. Mr. Gully can do that without this CUP. He can do that with the property that he's got. He doesn't have to have this event center to be able to do that. So I would like to encourage you to vote no.
Thank you. Public comments.
We should be close to the 15. So I move, I think we have 8 people still in line. I move we extend the, by 24 minutes.
I have a motion to extend by 24 minutes by Justice Lyons. Do I have a second? by Justice Washington. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The totality will be 24 minutes now. Sorry for that interruption, ma'am. Go ahead.
No worries, thank you. Hello, my name is Raina, and I am here in support of my friend's project at Gully Ranch. I believe it is a smart use of rural land that keeps the character of this land intact. It keeps the area feeling like what it is currently, which is rural, open, and agricultural. Most of the property is staying agricultural. Only a small place is being developed for this barn or event space. I know traffic is a concern, as we just heard, but this isn't daily use. It is occasional events. The traffic is predictable. The private drive currently meets county standards. And honestly, it's going to have less of an impact than if this were a subdivision bringing permanent density and daily traffic. This project also supports local businesses and creates jobs without asking the county for new infrastructure. It generates tax revenue and it doesn't add a burden to our services. And from what I understand, the stormwater, the erosion control, and the environmental protection have all been addressed. My friend has every permit already approved, septic, ADEQ, all of it, so he's done the work. This feels like exactly what a conditional use permit is for. Responsible development that fits the land and benefits the community without sprawling out. I support it, and I hope you will too. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Public comments.
Good evening. My name is Ka, and I work in real estate locally. I'm supporting Gully Ranch based on how the project is structured and how it fits the land. The majority of the property will remain agriculture and open, like Rena stated, with only a small portion being developed. In my experience, the approach does more to preserve the rural character of Washington County than a residential subdivision would. From a traffic standpoint, this is a limited use project with planned activity rather than a daily congestion. The access meets county standards, and the overall traffic, again, appears significantly lower than what residential development typically brings. From a real estate perspective, I don't see this project having a negative impact on the surrounding property values. The quality and high-end nature of the proposed structures are an important factor, and in my experience, well-designed projects like this only tend to complement the area. There is also an economic benefit. The project supports local vendors, creates jobs, and generates tax revenue without requiring new infrastructure or adding pressure to county services, exactly like how Rena stated. For those reasons, I support approval of Gully Ranch. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Public comments.
Hello, my name is Toya Gully. I live on Parkside Drive in Fayetteville, and thank you all for the opportunity to speak today. I wanted to start by acknowledging that throughout this process, there's been no shortage of opposition voices. They've been persistent and loud, but volume alone is not evidence, and repetition does not make something true. Every factual concern that has been raised, traffic, noise, land use, safety, has already been reviewed, studied, and validated through the proper channels. This project was already unanimously approved because it met every requirement placed before it. What seems to be happening now is that fear and speculation are being amplified just because it's consistently being repeated. During the last meeting in December, one of the justices shared that she was being bombarded with the claims from opposition that so much that she began to believe them until she went to the land herself. When she saw the property firsthand, she realized how inaccurate many of those claims were. Growth in this area is inevitable. We are in Walmart country. So the question is not whether growth will happen, but how it will happen. Gully Ranch is not about overdevelopment, it's about preservation with purpose. This project maintains open space and protects the natural landscape. Instead of subdividing the land or selling it off, Fred is choosing to steward it thoughtfully and responsibly. In our family, Fred's my brother, we were raised to believe that meeting the minimum is not enough. There's always an opportunity and a responsibility to do more. Fred has carried that mindset into every aspect of this project. He has not only met every rule and regulation required of him, he has demonstrated time and again a willingness to go above and beyond. This is Fred's home, his literal living space, and he is choosing to open it to the community, not to create noise pollution, not to increase traffic, not to disrupt neighbors, but to give back to the place that shaped him. The vision for Gully Ranch is rooted in connection and community benefit. So I have just one request tonight. As you consider this condition use permit, I ask that you weigh the facts more heavily than the noise. Compliance has been demonstrated, safeguards are in place, and intentions have been made clear. And lastly, I just ask that you remember that just because one side is louder, it does not mean that they are right. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Public comments.
Good evening. My name is Carolyn Brewer, and I'm here to support the Gully Ranch. I've gone out to Gully Ranch. When my kids come here, they're city kids. They love to go out to Gully Ranch and see the horses. That's the only opportunity that they have because they live in the city, and it's called Brick City. We go out to Fred Gully's ranch, and it's peaceful, it's beautiful, and I look forward to it. We're bringing out our church group for retreats in their new facility, and I have not seen a thug, nor have I seen a gang. But I have seen, since I used to go out there, I don't go out there anymore because I've been intimidated by the thing that's flying in the air, watching everything you do, people going up and down the side. I'm like, oh my God, where are we? Are we not in Fayetteville? Are we not in the land of the free, the land of opportunity? What's going on? He has all permits. He has done everything, dotted all his I's, crossed all his T's. He's done everything that everybody has asked of him. So I'm here to support a dream. Please do not be a dream killer. I support the Gully Ranch.
Thank you. Public comments.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Shannon Hinton. I live at 10392 South Harris Road. I am across the street from the event center. Just 2 points I want to make. As I listen to everybody talk and those who are for the ranch, have you noticed that no one lives in the Black Oak community that is for the ranch? The ones who are against the ranch are living in the community and will be highly affected by this. Remember I was at the last one, and Justice of the Peace Pond said, well, if it's just for horses and ranch and Girl Scouts and nature and that kind of thing, well, why do you need a licensed bartender? Can you not do the licensed bartending? This is the stuff, and he said no. He had to have a licensed bartender. So I don't think that's where the money to run this nature is going to come from. It's going to come from the events that occur at the event center, because I just don't think Girl Scouts need a bartender for some reason. The other thing is I would like to point out that the people in this community did not know Fred Gully when he was a child. I don't know him. I didn't even know he was a Razorback a long time ago. I did not realize this. All I can judge his character is how he has acted since he has come to our community. His character does not represent an upstanding citizen that's being represented here. He has sued my neighbor. He has called deputy sheriffs to come over and to drive around their circle driveways, spying on them, and it's extremely uncomfortable. And the only reason why this is happening is because of Fred Gully. Now before, I've had, issues. If you try to call a deputy, it takes an hour and a half to get there. Now there are deputies all over the place. They're parked at Black Oak Baptist Church. They're parked over there by the volunteer fire department. They're just spotted all over the place. We never used to have that before. I wonder why that is. Thank you very much.
Public comments.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy Harrington. I think I know everybody here. It's good to see you again. I am just here to let everyone know I will be on the ballot on March 3rd. And so get out there, meet your candidates. I have practiced here for 20 years, and in those 20 years, I've handled virtually every type of case that the bench that I'm running for will cover. I'm out giving people a name and a face so that you know somebody when you get to that ballot in March. Right now, I represent every single taxpayer in the state of Arkansas. I am fighting to get our taxes returned that were used for bribing politicians. And I'm the only candidate that can tell you that I already represent you. I'm also a track and cross-country coach. Get out there, look me up on social media, look up my website, find out who I am, and whatever you do, vote in March. Love your vote. Thanks.
Public comments.
Thank you. I want to be respectful of your time. Justice Pond, can you pass these to everybody for me? Thank you. My name is Emily Rainwater. I live at 10480 South Harris Road. And I want to try to expedite this. That's why I want you to have this to look at while we're continuing our meeting. Quickly, I want to touch on the financial harm that I reiterated at our last meeting. All neighbors who voiced concerns about the project have been told that if we don't like it, we can just move. While the rate market continues to improve, we're not at the lowest point that we were during the time that 90% or more of our neighbors have lived on Black Oak or neighboring areas. Should they be forced to move, we're looking at rate increases between 2% and 3%, which would increase their monthly budget $1,000 or more. Next, the Gully Ranch CUP is written for a wedding venue, but the majority of those speaking in favor continue to reiterate the passion for Mr. Gully's heart to serve disabled children and youth organizations such as the Girl Scouts. I'm urging you to please take into consideration the safety of these children in our community. Currently, there are 8 Level 3 high-risk registered sex offenders and 12 Level 2 moderate-risk registered sex offenders in proximity to this project. That map is outlined in the packet I've brought you today. A few examples, there's currently 1 Level 3 registered sex offender who lives 1.1 driving miles from the project and a Level 2 sex offender 0.7 miles from the project. I say driving miles because if you look at that map I've provided, the wooded area is less than 1 walking mile distance. Now, I'm not a licensed attorney, but I was raised by a mother who owned and operated one of the biggest in-home childcare facilities in Washington County for 20 plus years. I sincerely hope that the board asks the following questions before considering any further movement with the CUP. Number 1, are you advertising or intending to host children's camps, like we've heard in previous meetings? Number 2, if minors are the target market for your horse camps, venue usage for retreats, etc., what is the security plan, including check-in and check-out procedures, coordinating with the sheriff, active shooter training, staffing, etc.? 3, what's the expected law enforcement response for events involving minors? 4, what's the safety protocol for the accessible alcohol at the events that are scheduled in proximity to the events where minors are also on the schedule? And last, have you confirmed with the state whether any of the planned uses require the state child care licensing? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Public comments.
My name is Scott Webb. Me and my wife is Tricia Webb. We live at 15750 East Black Oak Road. We also own the farm next to it, which is 15860 East Black Oak Road. We own approximately over half a mile on Black Oak Road from the top of the hill all the way down through the valley, Black Oak Road. The landing borders Mr. Gully on both sides, east and west of his road. Mr. Gully's property and access the whole back of the north of my property too. So I've get it on all corners. Mr. Gully's property is accessed on the back north. We built our dream home, built our property, and escaped from the city traffic, noise, lights, and quality rural agriculture life. Growing our family, training our dogs, fishing, and maintaining the land under certain zoning rules. Those uses are protected for the past 3 or 4 years. Mr. Gully's dream of being a cowboy and a horseman were completely compatible with the lifestyle and the provided a rural area way that we live within our community. We maintain the neighborly relationship. However, in the last year, that has all changed. When working towards a wedding venue or event center began, let's be clear. This hearing, this is nothing about the ranch. Its currently use is about deciding whether the use of the land should be permanently changed via conditional use permit. This is bigger than the purpose of the event center and 5 rural rental units, primary wedding units. This is about repeating vehicle traffic lights, traveling noise, lights, and late night gatherings, and increase activity that would destroy the rural place and peace that we sought after. At the last quorum meeting, Mr. Gully made it really clear to the Black Oak community he was not, his first priority was us. Having 100 to 200 people leaving the wedding venue or the event center after alcohol being served would be detrimental to the public safety and general welfare of the Black Oak community. Some say this dispute won't be that big of a deal, but in conditional use permit granted, there is nothing to limit the or being caused of to me and my family. Furthermore, granting a conditional use permit today would allow future owners to expand commercial use on the property if he decides to sell. This decision you make to all commercial use on the land will
Thank you,
stay
sir.
that way forever.
That's your time. I appreciate it, sir. Public comments.
I'm Ken Sherman. I turned 86 yesterday. I'm getting old, and you might need to cut me a little slack here. I don't know. I'm a member of the Black Oak Gun Club. I'm retired. I go to the club 4 or 5 days a week. I saw Mr. Go at his gate one day, stopped to visit. He seemed like a nice guy. I thought so. He told me he wanted to bring kids out there to teach them ride horses. I thought it's a great idea. He can do that now. Doesn't need a conditional use to do that. The issue before you is the devastating effect this wedding venue will have on Scott Webb's family, why it concerns not only the Black Oak community, but all residents of rural Washington County. This project is a half mile from Black Oak Road. It's only accessible by almost a 1/4 mile road through Scott Webb's property. It's the only access. His property, his home property, is immediately south of the project site. He owns the property on both sides of the access road. Like most rural Arkansas, Scott bought his property and built his dream home there to escape the site, to escape the lights, noise, and traffic in the city, to enjoy the rural Ozark way of life. If you approve this project, this will no longer be their dream home, and they will not enjoy the real Ozark way of life. Saturday afternoon, instead of watching deer in their front yard, Scott and his family watch a wedding caravan of delivery vans and over 100 cars drive the gravel road by their house. Later that afternoon, same cars make a return trip by their house. You've driven on a gravel road. You know how they tire, pick up gravel and sling around the wheel wells. It's not a quiet trip. Saturday night, instead of enjoying the solitude of Ozark night, they watch a wedding parade of vehicles more than a half a mile by their house. Only now they have the noise and the lights of over 200 vehicles. After 10 o'clock at night, instead of peace and quiet, these revelers had leave the wedding venue again, travelers drove by their house, celebrating the bride and groom, destroying the dream of peace and quiet that Scott dreamed he would have when he bought the property. You know, the Constitution of the United States and state of Arkansas says men have an inherent right of acquiring, possessing, protecting property, and reputation of pursuing their own happiness. It also says that power is inherent to the people and that government, this government, is instituted for protection, security, and benefit. When you accepted your office, you took an oath to support our Constitution. If you approve this project, this wedding and truce will be repeated over countless weekends with thousands of cars.
Thank you, sir. That's your time. It's expired. I apologize. Public comments.
Hello, my name is Louise Buchanan. I live in West Fork, Arkansas, formerly from Mena, Arkansas. I just retired after 50 years of service to SWEPCO. And when I moved up here in 1992, 30 years ago, I put my 6-month-old son in a daycare center in Fayetteville. At the same time, the Gully family moved here from Ashdown and put who I call little Freddie, my other son, in that same daycare. So those babies have known each other since they were 6 months old, and they've been best friends for all these years. And I know this is a personal reference that we didn't normally even take at SWEPCO, because you know when you have a personal reference, it's going to be the good stuff. But Freddie is the good stuff. They've been best friends their whole lives, even though Freddie went to school in Fayetteville, Dylan went to school in West Fork. They spent nights with each other at each other's homes. We bought them the little electric Jeeps that they would take to each other's homes and ride around in the yard racing with each other. They played soccer together. They played basketball together. Freddie was one of Dylan's groomsmen at his wedding a few years ago, and he loves Dylan's children, my grandchildren, as if they were his own. They've been to his farm. They call him Farmer Fred, and they named one of the horses. It's a family thing with us. Even though Freddie has had, yes, a successful career with basketball and with businesses, his dream was always to have a ranch. From the time he was a little boy, he came to my house dressed like a cowboy. He always wanted to be a cowboy and have horses. That's always been his dream. A few years ago when he bought the property, he reached out to my daughter-in-law, my son's wife, who is a doctor of occupational therapy here in Northwest Arkansas, to see if she would be interested in helping him with horse therapy for children, because we know horse therapy is a good thing for children who have different issues. I just want to say that, yes, I know Freddie Gully. To say I know Freddie Gully is an understatement. But he had a dream his whole life. And I can tell you that he's always been a visionary. He's always cared about the underdog, and unless he was against him on the basketball court, then he might not have cared about him so much. But he cares about people, and he wants to do something for this group. And I can tell you that everything he does, he's meticulous about, whether it's been his business, whether it's his horses, his farm, his own personal appearance.
Thank you, ma'am. That's time expired.
Right.
And
Thank
that
you.
public comment time has now expired for the 24-minute extension. With that, we're going to move forward. Justice Coger?
Yes, thank you. I would like to suspend the rules to allow the 3 people who were in line time to speak.
I need an exact time extension. It's
3
not a matter of
3 times
who's-
3, 9 minutes.
9 minutes. I have a motion to extend public comment by 9 minutes. A second by Justice Evelyn Rios Stafford. All those in favor? Those opposed? No. We have 9 minutes.
Hey guys, my name is Joanna Hudgens and I live at 15161 Black Oak Road. I'd like to offer a couple of reminders. First, we're not here to talk about Mr. Gully operating a ranch. Many people have touched on this. The current zoning allows for agricultural purposes. The item being voted on here is the event space, the conditional use permit. I'm not sure if you've noticed, one lady already said it, but most of the people in favor of the project will not be impacted daily by the event space. They don't live in Black Oak community. They live elsewhere. The second thing that I'd like to remind you of is that approving the conditional use permit appeases one member of the Black Oak community, but it's also a vote violating the zoning protections of the majority of the community. A lady asked you earlier to not be a dream killer. Well, I have good news. You don't have to be a dream killer. No one mentioned, or voting no allows Mr. Gully to continue his dream of operating a cattle or a horse ranch. No one has said his dream was to own a wedding venue. That's the question that's being voted upon. However, if you vote to approve the conditional use permit, the dreams of many within the community whose dream it is to live in a rural community will be killed. So as an elected official, it is your duty to uphold the protections of the majority of those impacted by the vote. And today, the majority of those that live in the community are asking you to vote no to the conditional use permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comments.
Hi, I'm Andrea Gregg. I've never spoke publicly, and I don't want to now. I met Fred tonight. I'm born and raised in Fayetteville, raised in South Arkansas, and I've been back for 20 years. I found out about this project on Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook, because Fred's neighbor was digging up dirt on him, and she straight up said, I'm his neighbor, and I don't agree with what he's doing. This has turned into a witch hunt. The portion of his land that will be an event center versus the overall total portion of his land is a very small percentage. I've asked the neighbors multiple times on social media what negative effects the other event centers in Northwest Arkansas have on their community, their neighbors. What are the negative effects that currently cause problems for the event centers we have? Nobody's answered that. They're just against it. They're digging up dirt. They're going to every Facebook page they can and running his name through the mud. I've yet to hear him sling mud at any of these people one time. And that's all I have to say. I just think it's become a witch hunt, and it's really gross.
Thank you. Public comments.
Okay, my name is Tammy Michelle Perry, and I'm reading this letter on behalf of Tommy Davis, who submitted this letter to the Quorum Court. Good afternoon, Court, county officials. My name is Tommy Davis, and I'm a resident of Washington County. I'm writing in support of a fair, objective, and review of the appeal of Mr. Gully's conditional use permit. I understand the challenges that you are facing in making a highly charged and complicated decision. Property rights and land use decisions should be evaluated based on the applicable law, the evidence presented, and the specific proposal before the Quorum Court. I want to raise a concern about some of the opposition comments respectfully. While I do not believe they were intentionally discriminatory, several remarks relied on generalized fears or assumptions about people rather than identifiable code-based impacts of the development itself. When decisions are influenced by speculation or subjective concerns about who might use a property rather than what the project actually allows under the law, it risks unequal treatment and undermines confidence in a neutral process. I respectfully ask you, JPs, to focus on whether the development complies with the governing standards and to apply those standards consistently to all property owners. That consistency is essential to fairness and the integrity of this proceeding. I appreciate your willingness to consider my thoughts related to this request. Best regards, on behalf of her absence, Tommy Davis. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comments.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Sider, 10923 South White House Road. I just wanted to see, I'm probably going to need about 10 minutes. Would anybody support me in that? No? Okay. 5 minutes?
You have 3 and the timer's running.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me give it to you. Guys, please hold it 1 second.
Guys, we're in the middle of what's legally a legal proceeding. And I have a real problem with people handing things out to these justices at the meeting. You know what I mean? So this is up to you, ladies and gentlemen here. But these materials that are getting handed out, Planning has not seen I mean, you guys are accepting information now that's way outside of this process. Justice Dennis?
Thank you, Judge. And yes, we're way out of bounds on this. And the reason being, if you read your agenda, we're in the first part of the agenda after citizen comments of 15 minutes. Those comments are for the other people that have to come in and discuss or say something other than just one thing that's going on. And so the time for the review of an ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit for the Gully Ranch is item number 9. And so we're on item number 5. And when you're supposed to discuss this is on item number 9, not now. They've been very kindly to everybody, allowing you to have a whole lot more minutes. But we're going to turn around and give you more minutes here in a few minutes. So let us do our work and let the people who are here from the county come and report about the hot check. If you can read it out there, the hot check, that attorney is sitting here waiting for y'all to finish your personal comments about the Gully Ranch, which is going to come up in a few minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that we would have another time to talk, so I
let's
rescind my request. Huh?
Let's try to move on. We have 2 minutes and 18 seconds left.
Then
in
I'd
public
rather do
comment.
it, I'd rather do it
Okay.
during the time that's appropriate. So
Then
if y'all just hold on to those folders, I'll get back to you. Thank you.
When they move the ordinance, there'll be another public comment period. I want
Okay, I
everybody to be
wasn't sure
comfortable
there
with
would
that.
be. Thank you.
Okay. Just a second, are you good? Justice Ecke?
Thank you for your indulgence, Judge Deakins. Point of clarification, if I can have one. All presentations from opposition to Gully Ranch and in favor of Gully Ranch have been made, and therefore no other presentations are going to be made. Am I correct on that, or are additional presentations going to be made on the second reading?
So I want to clarify that I operate under your rules as chair. I do my best. I consider the presentations made during the CUP appeal process that happened at the last meeting. I find it problematic to take on new information, but Counselor probably has a much better handle on that because, ladies and gentlemen, we understand that if these get contentious, we end up in court. And so what I really worry about, and I'll let Counselor, is now we have one side presenting information that the other side has never seen. And we're not a court of law, but please, Counselor, please comment on this.
And if I can say, we haven't had the opportunity to look at it or discuss it. Thank you.
So under state law, you've elected to sit as an administrative appeal from the planning board. And when you did so and you created, the Quorum Court created its rules, it basically said that it would sit and hear just as the planning board hears. The only difference is when it comes to an ordinance, you have to have 3 separate readings. The planning board can hear something one night, vote, and then it's done with the planning board. But when we get to the ordinance part of it, this body, because it's a legislative act, has to hear it 3 times under state law. As far as the appeal is concerned, you should only hear that one time because you are mimicking what it is that the planning board is doing. So once those presentations are made, and we have rules about what can be submitted, and people can submit things, but they have to be submitted for that appeal and for those appeal presentations. They can then be submitted to you afterwards. People can send stuff to you, but as far as presentations are concerned, it needs to be limited to the actual appeal presentations that are made. We have moved on from that, and so my advice to you would be not to allow any more presentations on this and then just move forward with the legislative part of the ordinance.
Thank you, Counselor. That helped. We're ready to move on, is that correct? We're going to move on. Item number 6 is approval of the minutes. You had 2 sets of minutes in your packet, the regular Quorum Court meeting from December 18th and the special Quorum Court meeting from December 22nd. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to accept. I have a motion to accept the minutes by Justice Ecke. I heard second by Justice Dennis. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The minutes have been accepted. With that, we're going to move on to item number 7, which is the county judge's report. First off, I want to thank the staff. The Washington County Extension Office rotates their clubs, and they bring us refreshments each meeting tonight. And tonight was provided by the Butterfield Extension Homemakers. Thank you very much to the Washington County Extension Office for everything you do, and specifically to the Butterfield Extension Homemakers tonight. for all that you've provided. What I also say is the sausage balls garnered extra compliments this evening. So if you want to make these people happy, sausage balls, this is the key to their heart, right? The disposal report is in your packet. It's a couple different ones. We've started doing those actual court orders. If you have any questions about that, please reach out to my office or the associated department that disposed of it. Under state law, I am obligated to tell you, I would also tell you anyways, that we received the completed 2023 audit of Washington County from state legislative audit. I'm required to notify you of that. You were each, as members of the Washington County Quorum Court, sent a physical packet through the mail. And so you should have those to review. If you have any questions about that, please let us know or reach out. I want to go over a little bit of a controversy over the last couple weeks about the burn ban. I want to let everyone know what goes into that. While that is a very inconvenient decision that we have to make as the county, what I want you to know is that's a very easy decision for me to make with the information that's provided to me by Director John Luther in the Department of Emergency Management. We work very closely with close allies in that, U.S. Forestry, the National Weather Service in Tulsa, and then also all of our rural firefighters across the county. And what I want to say is the county gets no benefit from instituting a burn ban other than safety. That's the only thing that we consider. And so we have not received the precipitation that we should have over the last few weeks. And so until further notice, the burn ban will stand. I just wanted you to know that we review that daily. I review it with the team, with their scientific data, and we will remove that as fast as we can. The silver lining in that weather is the drier and warmer weather is that our road department has been out doing some tree trimming and some fall maintenance that's extended on into the winter, and so a little bit of a silver lining there. I want to share that I had the chance to go last Saturday to the Marion chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution here in Washington County to discuss our historical courthouse and some of the events we have there. I just want to highlight those women and the incredible work that they do, and then also that they are very dedicated to the history of this county and also have a special heart for the World War I memorial mural in our historic courthouse. And we got to talk about that and celebrate that mural's history. If you have not seen that mural or the historic courthouse, I'd welcome you to tour through that building and look through it. It's a beautiful building and one of our great, great assets here. I've had the chance to speak to 2 teen leadership classes this week from our different cities all around the county, and what I'd say is what a great opportunity for our youth to learn about civics and our government. I appreciate the Chambers of Commerce for putting that on, and of course I always appreciate the young men and women, the talented young men and women who are coming through the school systems here in Washington County and all their dedication. I also had the chance to meet with Mayor Hutchins in Lincoln and his Chief of Staff, Justin Hopper, the other day and tour the new Lincoln Community Building. I'm a little bit behind on that. That building's been presented to the public of Lincoln for a few months now. What a great asset to the city of Lincoln. Hats off to Mayor Hutchins and his team for really bringing that community together and restoring a building. I mean, rebuilding a building, but as much as they can, keeping the historic nature of it. The front entrance is the original flagstone. They reused it. It's just a beautiful building, and I suggest you go by and look at it in the city of Lincoln. Many of our cities, all of our growing cities around the county have some very exciting things going on. I would like to say also that the county courthouses, just a little PSA, will be closed Monday in the observance of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. So we will not be here. Also, finally, we have an item tonight, a resolution to support our agricultural producers in Washington County. I'd love to see maybe a unanimous vote on that to show support to those men and women who are suffering so much. I did not have the opportunity to go to spend the evening with you here this evening, but today there was a meeting in Westville, Oklahoma. I believe the Attorney General of Oklahoma, who seems to be the problematic pawn in this so far, was there. I was so disappointed not to be able to go to that meeting that my responsibilities carried me here, but I cannot wait to hear an update from our producers if anything material came out of that meeting. But I think we can make a strong statement in support of them tonight. Really quickly, Councilor Lester would like to make a comment about the O'Brien Ready Mix appeal. Councilor Lester?
So there were some questions asked, and I want to clarify for all of you. The O'Brien Ready Mix, as you know, you tabled or you postponed until this meeting. However, immediately following that meeting, maybe even that night or the next morning, I was notified by the attorneys for both sides, and both attorneys had conflicts with tonight's meeting time. And so as such, I've gotten with them and tried to figure out a time that is agreeable to both parties so that everybody that needs to be there can be there. I apologize. I think I sent this out in an email to you. If you all want to handle this differently in the future, let us know, but we just try to make this as convenient for everyone without having to wait until a quorum court meeting comes up for you to make a decision. And so as such, there's a time constraint on this because we have to send notices out to notify the people that are in that required notification area so much time before the meeting. The date that everyone came back and agreed on would be the most beneficial of many dates that I sent out. The first agreeable date was February the 12th. And so we went ahead with that date, and I saw an email from Director Atta, because this isn't on my calendar, but that happens to be the next planning board meeting. It was not intentional. I don't keep up with the planning board calendar, and I didn't consult with them. I was just trying to help attorneys find dates. I know how that is. So that hearing will occur after, immediately following the planning board hearing or planning board meeting that happens on February the 12th. And so I think what we need here now to officially do that is someone to make a motion to postpone that to February 12th following the planning board meeting. The notices are already in process of going out, so all of that is fine, but that just gets us procedurally where we need to be in order to do that.
Justice Secchi?
Thank you, Judge. Since I'm the one who made the motion to table it, I'd like to make a motion that we move the appeal hearing of the O'Brien Ready Mix to February 12th. After the planning board meeting.
I have a motion to move to February 12th, immediately following the planning board meeting by Justice Secchi, a second by Justice Pond. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Justice Coger?
Well, I wanted to comment on that, but the reason I wrote that letter about O'Brien, Mr. Lester, and everyone is because this court voted for it to be on this date, and no one has the authority to remove it. Only the court can do that. And so you said to let you know if we had problems with it or something, and I just want you to know that's why I objected, because I thought anything, once we set it as a legislative body, it should be on the agenda.
And that was an oversight with the preparation of the agenda, leaving that off. I think Mr. Allen knew that we had immediately started talking about the fact that we weren't going to be able to do it. And so in his thought process, and we just didn't catch that we didn't put it on here. We also didn't want to confuse people and have a bunch of people show up just to let them know that we're moving, but I understand that was not intentional. It was an oversight. And so that, and then that's it.
Justice Fleming?
Just a quick question. Can we move county services that same night? Okay, thank you.
Without further ado, by state statute, I believe, we're required to hear an update on the hot check fee account. And tonight we have the honor of having Prosecuting Attorney Brandon Carter here with us. P.A. Carter?
Judge, just as I sat there in the audience, I found myself, I guess, disappointed that everybody here wasn't here to hear the hot check report. So I'm required under Arkansas law annually to update the Quorum Court on the status of the prosecuting attorney's hot check fund. I am here to report to you that there are still an extreme minority of people among us that write checks. At the beginning of last year, at the end of 2024 rather, the balance was $13,744.01. In 2025, the prosecutor's office took in just a little over $5,000 in hot check fees. That's down a couple of $1,000 as I predicted from the previous year. That totals about $19,000. The expenditures this last year, the bulk of it was $7,471.27. That's in utilities. That's all cell phones. If you'll recall, I transferred a good deal of money to the county general fund to pay for our cell phones, and we moved those to the county budget. The travel expenses are for our hot check coordinator to go to the annual training. That was about $1,700. Office supplies are almost entirely the software that we run our hot check program off of, and the checks we write back to the vendors when we collect their checks in the stationery and the envelopes we send it in. So our total expenses this year were $11,353, leaving us with a balance of $7,548.24. I'm required as well to present you with a budget for this calendar year, 2026. That's on the second page of your packet. We have projected about $2,000 in revenue this year. That's probably low. We generally estimate low. I believe it'll be lower than this year if you follow trends. We have budgeted $1,000 for supplies, those being checks, $1,000 for software, and attached to the last page is the prosecutor's policy on waiving the fee in certain situations. I'll entertain any questions if there are any from the justices.
Questions for PA Carter?
Thank you all.
Report submitted. Thank you, sir. With that, we're going to move on to the unfinished business portion of the agenda. Item number 9, Counselor, will you read that by title only?
Item 9 is an ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit for Gully Ranch CUP.
This ordinance is on its second reading. Justice Ecke?
Thank you, Judge. I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules and move this on to its third and final reading.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and move it to the third and final reading by Justice Ecke. I heard second by Justice Hires.
Wait. Am I correct in saying third and final, or is it the second?
No, it's the third and final.
It's third and final. Okay, thank you.
With that, motion by Justice Ecke, second by Justice Hires. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? No. Mr. Allen, will you please call a roll?
Justice Lyons.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Justice Ecke.
Yes.
Yes. Justice Dean.
No, sir.
No. Justice Washington. Yes. Justice Koger. Yes. Justice Dennis. Yes. Justice Hires. Yes. Justice Rio Stafford. Yes. Justice Lemming. Yes. Justice Ricker. No. Justice Pond. No. Justice Bruns. No. Justice Wilson. Yes. Justice Massengill. Yes. Justice Rivera Lopez. Yes.
That motion passes. Counselor, will you read this ordinance for a third and final time?
An ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit for Gully Ranch CUP.
Justice Ecke?
I'd like to make a motion, Judge, to pass ordinance number 9.
I have a motion to pass ordinance number 9. Second by Justice Washington. Sorry, I had a motion to pass item number 9 by Justice Ecke, second by Justice Washington. With that, further discussion, Justice Koger?
Yes, thank you very much, Judge. I heard what Mr. Lester just said, and I appreciate that. But I would like to, I'm making a motion to suspend the rules to allow each side on the Gully Ranch 15 additional minutes so that we can hear from them. Any more information they might have, any rebuttal, and I think we should hear what they have to say, and they should be allowed to present it. So I make that motion. Thank you.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and allot each side 15 minutes in the Gully Ranch. Motion by Justice Koger. And that's going to die for lack of second. Back to the main motion, we had a motion to pass item number 9 by Justice Ecke, second by Justice Hires. Further discussion. I'm so sorry, was that Justice Washington? I was a motion behind, I think. I'm going to make myself some notes so I don't get in any more trouble. All right, second by Justice Washington. Further discussion. Seeing none, public comments on item number 9. Oh, I'm so sorry, Justice Dennis?
This relates to, thank you, Judge, first. This relates to it a little bit, but at the same time, it's not direct to them. I want to know from our county attorney if he knows, and this is personal a little bit for me because everybody knows I own a wedding venue, but when someone comes to my wedding venue and I tell them no alcohol, but they still serve alcohol out in the parking lot or whatever, and they get drunk and they go and drive, who is responsible for that? Am I responsible by law, or is the couple who had it, or is the individual who drank it?
Mr. Dennis, JP Dennis, I don't feel comfortable giving, that's legal advice. And while you as a JP is my client, you as a private business owner is not. And so I think you should, I would like to refrain from offering any advice in that at this time.
Okay. Well, that's a concern of mine. I'll just speak to it myself if I may. I think I can I?
Sure.
Okay. You know, it's a big thing in the wedding venue business on who's responsible. And I worry about it, and I'm a very small wedding venue that pretty much does church weddings, not venue weddings. And I tell them no alcohol. But at the same time, I've seen it happen when I'm not there. And so I worry about which way it's going to be. And so my question for you is this, and my next question is this. Later on, if we say 2 months from now, we pass a ordinance that says something, we come up with an idea of who's responsible, or we say that we make an ordinance about drinking.
Will you cue your mic, Justice Lyons? Justice Lyons?
Thank you. I apologize. I really don't see the relevance of this with the motion on the floor.
Will you continue, but try to be
That's
concise?
it was just conversation. I'll just save it for later then.
Justice Bruns?
Thank you, sir. I've had two concerns. Number one, I'll just say that I think Mr. Gully, who's a great guy, and he has got a very good idea of a nice venue. I get that, with the exception of there's two areas that scare me, being a retired policeman. Both of them that scare me kind of tails off of the alcohol. And you know, if he's willing to go ahead and let alcohol be served, who controls, is he going to have somebody there? And should this CUP say that he has to have somebody paid to be there to control an actual drunk from getting out on the highway? And that's one of my concerns. And the second concern I have is that I went out there to the facility. I didn't drive up the drive because I didn't have permission to do so, but I drove around, and as you go down this big hill, you know, people get their speed up when they go down that hill, and you just do that automatically. And what scares me is that you got lots of people wanting to turn left into that facility because that's how they got to enter it. And when they have to turn left and you've got a line of cars, you're an accident waiting for a place to happen there. And we've already heard they got bicycles, they got kids, they've got all this stuff, and this CUP has not addressed having Mr. Gully put in a third lane where he could have a passing lane, whatever safety. I'm not a person that could tell you how far back it'd have to go, but I think there should be a lane where it is safe for people to be able to pull into that middle lane, and then also the folks be able to pass on the right and get through without having an accident. Because it scares me to death. I mean, you go out there and look at it and you tell me that's not the case. That's it's very much an issue. And I'd like to see this board put I don't know how you do it, Mr. Lester, whether we do an amendment, maybe too late, I don't know. But somehow, have some kind of regulation on if they're gonna allow alcohol to have some security there and them pay for it, and then having a lane to be able to pass safely so somebody doesn't get hurt, because we're setting ourselves up for, I don't know if we're setting up this group, I'm just saying we're setting ourselves up as Washington County citizens having a bunch of wrecks out there. If in fact they have an event and, you know, you get 50 people at an event, 50 people wanting to turn in, you're gonna be clear back up that hill. And people are gonna come flying over that hill. And it could be a major danger. So, anyway, so, how would we handle that, Mr. Lester? Do we ask for an amendment? Is it too late? Is it?
Counselor?
You would need to make a motion to add a condition
Okay.
to the permit.
And then we'd have to vote it in.
That's correct.
Okay, can we do that at this juncture?
It's your pleasure to amend anything.
Okay. Then I'd like to make that motion.
We're gonna need you to specifically word it for us, though. We're gonna need your help with that part.
Oh, let me get my law degree out here real quick.
It's your motion. I mean, it's your
well-
amendment. I don't,
Yeah. First off, I'd like to say if there's going to be alcohol allowed, that one of the stipulations, one of the continued use CUPs should say that they have to provide security from the time the event starts to the time the event's over. Okay?
that's a motion?
That's a motion. Number
We
one.
wanna read it back to you real quick. Can we take them up separately? And we wanna read it
Sure.
back to you so that you can get we know, we wanna get the exact language. This is very technical. This
Yeah.
could- Yeah.
Okay, so I have a motion to add a condition that if alcohol is served, security must be provided from the time the event starts until the event ends.
Correct.
Motion by Justice Bruns, second by Justice Coger. Any discussion on the amendment? I know we all got our mics queued. If you could just show a hand, if you just want to discuss the amendment first, I think I've explained this before. This keeps track of the order the mics ring in. Now, I mess that up sometimes. I'm not perfect, but you would like, so Justice Washington?
Thank you, Judge. I am really trying hard to understand what this fascination is with the serving of alcohol. Number one, everybody doesn't drink. Number two, everybody doesn't drink to get drunk. And in all of the years that I've been on this court, I have never, ever heard us as a body try to put all of these restrictions on someone getting a CUP. I mean, we're saying, first of all, we were like, well, don't serve alcohol. We don't do that to other applicants for CUPs. Then it's like, well, if you're gonna serve alcohol, then you need to have security. We don't do that to other applicants of CUPs. Then it's like, well, if they're gonna be driving, then the applicant needs to be responsible for putting a third lane. Like, we don't do that. So I don't understand the logic. I'm really trying to understand why this particular CUP, that some of us feel that we have the right to make all of these additional conditions when the planning board didn't say that it needed a third lane. If they had said that, it would have been in the original CUP. So I just hope that we just vote this down and just move on and get this passed tonight.
Discussion on the amendment. Justice Rios Stafford, I've accidentally cued your mic, so that's
Oh,
fortuitous for me. Go
Thank
ahead.
you. I would like to hear from the applicant or one of his representatives whether this additional condition would even be acceptable to him. Can we bring one of them up to hear that? Since we did that with the previous two conditions that we added.
I will ask if the applicant would like to answer those questions. You are not obligated to.
Not obligated.
Just a second. Now it's cued. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'm Vicki Bronson. Whoever has any kind of a event center or any other business where they serve alcohol has to have a licensed bartender there. That's controlled by the Arkansas regulatory body that governs who can serve alcohol and who can't serve alcohol. And Gully Ranch will comply with those requirements. And we are not going to agree to additional requirements that no one else has to abide by. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that I agree with JP Washington. I feel like we may be putting ourselves into risky legal territory. Our county attorney may have an opinion on that. If we put a condition on this that we don't put on any other event center that we've given a CUP to in the past in this county, I feel very nervous about that from a legal standpoint.
Back to discussion on the amendment. Justice Hires, let me get you queued up here. Justice Hires.
Thank you, Judge. I just want to echo what my colleagues have said. We have listened to several CUPs since I've been on this court, since 2018. This is the first time we've ever tried to stop someone from serving alcohol or adding conditions to this, and to me that is the definition of arbitrary and capricious, and this is dangerous territory. Will not vote for this. Thank you.
Further discussion on the amendment. Justice Wilson.
Thank you, Judge. I would concur with some statements that have been made. I appreciate what J.P. Bruns has said because he's making a plea for responsibility. Now, whether we have the right to endorse that or add it to a CUP, that is a question. And I know that in the past, there's always been some question about whether we ought to be adding very many conditions to a CUP to begin with. And so based upon that, it's hard for me to endorse an extra idea. And also, if there was a discussion about an extra lane in the road or what have you, I don't know that it would be the responsibility of the Quorum Court or of the person who operates a venue, but it would be county roads that should handle that to begin with. I mean, I'm not saying that we should all urge responsibility, but what authority do we have to start stipulating specifically what that responsibility is supposed to look like? So I just think we ought to be careful. Thank you.
Comments on the discussion on the amendment? Anyone else? Justice Ecke. Justice Ecke?
Thank you, Judge. The way I understand special event centers is that it's not Mr. Gully who is going to be serving the alcohol. If somebody comes in and says, we're having a business meeting, and after the business meeting, we are going to serve a choice of beer and wine, then it is the people that are renting the center's responsibility to have someone licensed and security for the event. Not Mr. Gully. He has nothing to do with that. So if they want to, and every event that I have been to weddings, businesses, retreats. It is not the event center. It is up to the person who is renting the space. And so to put all of these conditions on Mr. Gully is capricious. And we can't do that. We are treading on a lawsuit. He is just renting it. I have been to several weddings where you don't have cars lined up trying to turn in. I think we need to have confidence in our own citizens that they know how to drive out in dirt roads, in gravel roads, and they're going to this event. They know that, and we think they're irresponsible drunkards going to an event. And I think more highly of our citizens than that. And I hope that we not pass this amendment. Thank you.
Counselor Lester?
So I just, as your attorney, I want to give you some legal warning and try to steer this a little bit better for you. We start getting into some really weird areas of the law where we start putting conditions on ourselves as the legislative body, and I've said that to you numerous times. Not that they're not good ideas, that's just not necessarily the legislative function. We are in a very odd area when we talk about conditional use permits in Washington County and the state. Later next month, I'll be arguing in front of the Arkansas Supreme Court on behalf of the county on a case that we've had going on for several years as it relates to this idea of conditional use permits and some confusion that it has caused in our appellate courts and specifically our Supreme Court, who now have requested oral arguments on this. And so maybe we get some sort of silver lining when it comes to that. However, my advice to you is there are, and I've read them to you before, there are 7 criteria that you are to consider when you're making a decision whether or not to approve or deny a request for a conditional use permit. My advice would be to stick to that. If you don't feel, for example, that the roads are adequate, well, that would be a great, I mean, that's absolutely well within your purview. And I would advise you to vote against something that you feel like the roads are not adequate. Another part of this has to do with the health and safety of the individuals in the area. If you feel that something's going on and therefore making the safety of the residents and people in that area cause you to call that into question, then I'd advise you to vote against it. I don't think that adding additional conditions is going to be beneficial, and it certainly will present us with some legal hurdles that may be difficult for us to overcome just based on the fact that you're performing a legislative function, and that starts getting into administrative function. The other thing is we don't have any rules when it comes to how we regulate alcohol sales. We've always relied on the state's regulations for that, just like we do with people that drive drunk. I mean, that's up to law enforcement. Those are the people that handle that. So I would urge this body to kind of look at these 7 factors and really try to stick more to those when you're making a decision going forward on this CUP or any other. And it's not because anybody has his opinion is wrong or bad. It just becomes more complicated for us. So, thank you.
With that, are we ready for the question, Justice Coger? Justice Coger.
Thank you. I'd like to comment on the amendment now. I just want to say that in the past, I have seen this group, these JPs, this legislative body, come up and make conditions for CUPs. I can't remember which ones it was, but we even adjourned the meeting so that JP Lyons and some of the others met up there with the applicant and came up with conditions. So that has been done. I just want to put that out there. Thank you.
All right, now it's time to move the question. Justice Pond?
During this discussion about this amendment, there were several comments made. Well, is this fair to Mr. Gully? And I'm unsure whether it's fair to Mr. Gully or not. But I think what we've forgotten in this discussion is one of the things that we're responsible for is the, you know, what's suitable for certain neighborhoods, certain areas, certain communities, and what's not, or what might be safe in a, this is a farming community. And I'm not here to make a conditional use, add a condition that there be no alcohol served. I had hopes and prayers after my conversation and my visit with Mr. Gully that he might recognize that his event center would be more suitable in this particular neighborhood by not allowing alcoholic beverages at his facility. I'm not sure that's discriminatory. Well, I'm a property rights advocate, and it's his property. I had hopes that he would be free to put that condition on there for himself, much like Mr. Dennis, I'll use him for an example, has done at his facility. And I made a promise to Mr. Gully that if he removed the use of alcohol from his facility, his event center, that I would vote to approve it. He might trick me and decide to go ahead and do that, and then I'd be voting for his facility. But it doesn't have anything to do with Mr. Gully. We're talking about what fits in that neighborhood. This neighborhood that's been chosen, it's a beautiful, a quiet rural area, a lot of agriculture, a lot of slow-moving agriculture equipment moves up and down that road. If you drive out there, you'll see them parked along the road. And so, anyway, I'm sorry that hasn't happened, and I don't believe I can see to vote for Mr. Bruns's his condition to add this to Mr. Gully. It should have been done before now. Should have been done through the planning board, the road department. Anyway.
Point of order, Justice
Sorry.
Washington. You're going to wrap up?
I'm done now.
Okay, thank you. Are we ready for this question? Yes. For the question of the amendment, I have a motion to amend by Justice Bruns to add the requirement for security from open to close of the event, second by Justice Coger. All those in favor? All those opposed? No. That motion fails. Mr. Justice Bruns, would you like to add your second amendment?
The Second Amendment was to add an extra lane to make it safe for coming down that hill. And let's
We just want we need the exact language. He's scribing it down so that we can
Okay.
make sure it's right for the record. So if you could just give us the exact language first, that would be helpful for Counselor.
Okay, what do you have? Nothing?
Not much so far. We'd like to, if you give us the opportunity.
Well, I did say about
We have motion to require an additional lane so far.
yes, to be provided for by the event person, owner, whatever you want to call them,
We would like for you to choose that term.
for,
He would go with, Counselor suggests applicant.
okay, for safe passage And I believe that would be in a south direction, coming down the hill. I just want to remind you.
Just a second, let Counselor repeat that back. So we just want to make sure we have this exact.
Okay.
This is very consequential. Counselor?
Motion to require an additional lane to be provided for by the applicant for safe passage in the south or the southern direction,
Southbound.
southbound.
That's a motion by Justice Bruns. Does it have a second? That'll die for lack of second. Would you still like the floor, sir?
The only reason I was asking for both of these is because Mr. Gully,
Justice Washington, would you cue your mic? We have a point of order, Justice Bruns.
okay,
Justice Washington?
Since this motion failed for lack of a second, there should not be any discussion about it.
I tend to agree with Justice Washington, Justice Bruns.
all right, thank you.
I'm going back to the original queue of mics now, so if you have questions about that. Justice Vladimir Rivera Lopez, I'm sorry, man, I'm getting tired.
No worries. Thank you, Judge. Counsel, I do have a question. Again, going back to the criteria that you would recommend that we consider as we make this decision. I know that one of them is whether or not the development of a certain property would be injurious to the enjoyment of other properties in that vicinity. When we discuss enjoyment, that's a little tacit. I was just hoping for some direction on, like, does that change? Is it changing the character of the place that they live? Is it, what exactly should I consider in the term enjoyment?
You're talking about the requirement that you have that says will not be detrimental or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare?
Yes, I believe that.
No, I'm sorry. Conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the surrounding area for the purposes already permitted, correct?
That is correct.
So that would be the use, and the enjoyment being the ability for you to utilize your land for the purpose for which it's already permitted.
All right, and
So
that would
it
be
detrimental or injurious to surrounding neighbors to use their property as a residential slash agricultural use, correct?
Okay. All right. I don't have any further questions at this moment, but that was something that I was considering. Thank you.
Okay. Justice Coger?
Yes, thank you, Judge. So I'm not going to go into all the detail that I did last time, but I do want to speak to why I'm voting the way I am. And I want to thank Mr. Lester. I appreciate him reminding us of what the criteria is that we're supposed to consider when we're considering whether to approve or deny any CUP. The first one I want to address is adequate public roads, drainage, utilities, emergency access. Black Oak Road is a narrow, rural two-lane road not designed for recurring event traffic approaching 200 or more guests. I believe that emergency access will be constrained by road width, dust, night conditions, and traffic surges during events. Second is compatibility with surrounding area. I do not believe there's any way that this event is compatible with the surrounding area. Protection of public health, safety, and welfare. Large gatherings combined with alcohol service on rural roads create foreseeable safety risk. No injury to neighboring property or crowd enjoyment of their property. We've heard neighbors credibly testify to loss of quiet enjoyment due to events, traffic, dust, lighting, and proximity to the event. These impacts materially interfere with residential use. Orderly development of the area, that one's not met. Approval would introduce commercial intensity into a rural area and set precedent for similar uses, undermining predictable land use patterns relied upon by the residents. And I just want to say that when I think about our ordinance for zoning that we have, I consider that kind of like a contract or an agreement that we have with the rural residents of Washington County, that they should be able to rely upon us, to depend on us to consider what's in the ordinance that we're supposed to consider and not to consider other things that are outside that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Justice Rios Stafford?
Thank you, Judge. I have two things. One, I want to explain the last vote I just made, and also the next vote I'm going to make. So first, why I voted to go ahead and move this to the third reading. Over the New Year's holiday, I got a phone call from a neighbor of the proposed Gully Ranch who asked me if I would be willing to hold off on the third reading of this ordinance while they worked out a deal with Mr. Fred Gully's attorney. And I said, sure, if the two sides are working on some sort of deal, I'm fine with that. As of yesterday, I had no indication at all that any talks or discussions or anything like that had taken place. And so I felt that, okay, that hasn't happened, and so the request for me to vote to hold off on a third reading, there's been no action. The vote that I'm going to make tonight, at the last meeting, Mr. Gully, I brought forward 2 additional conditions. I spoke to Mr. Gully about them beforehand, before that meeting, and he agreed to them if we felt that was necessary. One was, to me, very significant. We agreed to put an additional condition on this venue to go from a maximum of 300 people per event, which is the capacity of the venue. Mr. Gully agreed to self-limit and have that written into the conditions to go down to 200 people per event. And to me, that's very significant. It's cutting everything by a third. It's cutting the number of folks, the number of cars, the amount of everything. He also agreed to a condition to maintain the private road and submit a road maintenance plan. And we voted in both those conditions. To me, that, number one, does 2 things. To me, it signals to me that Mr. Gully is operating in good faith. He's not trying to push the boundaries of this venue to the maximum that it could possibly be, and that he's willing to make compromises. And I think that's what this whole situation needs is a compromise. And Mr. Gully has made his compromise. He's already agreed to conditions that he didn't necessarily have to agree to. And to me, that shows very good faith. The other thing that does is that I think that this puts it in line with other event venues that we have approved in the past for conditional use permits. And I talked about a couple of them at the last meeting. One of them that I think is the closest was one that we approved in 2015. I wasn't on this body yet, but some other folks were, which was Fritchie Farms. That was also built to a capacity of 300 people. Actually, I think technically 299, but close enough. They originally agreed to self-limit themselves to 175 people at that venue. And after 6 years of really no complaints from the neighbors or neighborhood, they asked if they could raise that limit back up to their full capacity of 299. That was back in 2021. Have we heard anything about that venue? Any complaints? Have neighbors been filling our inbox up with concerns about problems? I haven't heard any since my 5 years on the Quorum Court. The other one was the Grand at Willow Springs. I don't know the exact capacity of that event, but it's a 5,500 square foot wedding chapel and an 11,500 square foot reception hall. That's big. That's really big. In their final LSD that they applied for in February 2024, they said they were going to have a maximum count of 120 visitors per event. That is significantly smaller, I'm positive, than what that venue can hold. And so I think that Mr. Gully's good faith acceptance of our condition that we imposed at the last Quorum Court meeting puts this in line with those other event venues that we have approved. Now, one thing that is different is that both of those venues were on dirt county roads. This venue is not on a dirt county road. This is off of a paved county road. In fact, it's like one of the nicest county roads that we have. It's not only paved, but it's striped. There aren't very many roads in our county, county roads that are striped. And so I think that is an additional thing that we need to, I take in consideration in terms of going back to the 7 things that we have to consider, which is adequate roads. You know, last year when we were looking at overhauling our planning and zoning ordinance, and we're looking at putting commercial zoning in by right, you know, one of the things that I had in my mind was, you know, we want to put commercial zoning by right along state highways. You know, I had very kind of like sort of a rigid idea of that in my mind. And I think that the details of this application and the concrete plant that we're going to hear next month have given me pause and have given me some things to think about, and that we probably need to discuss as we consider in the future whether to have commercial zoning by right in a county, where to put it, whether to continue with the CUP process that takes context into account, because this is 6 miles off of a state highway, but we got to consider the condition of that county road as well. And so I think that has, you know, I think those are things we need to consider going forward as we look at, are we going to have commercial zoning? What's that going to look like? Are we going to continue our CUP process? I think that this, what I would call a, you know, kind of outside what at least I was originally thinking, has really changed my mind about a lot of things. And I'm going to be voting in favor of this. Thank you.
Any further discussion by the group? Seeing none, any public comments? Oh, sorry, Justice Washington?
Thank you, Judge Deakins. So a lot of the things that I was going to say has already been said by my colleagues, so I appreciate that. I won't belabor those points. But one of the things that keeps coming up a lot is about the quiet enjoyment of the properties. And it is baffling to me how the same people that want quiet enjoyment are perfectly okay with guns being shot and all of that. And the only reason I know this is because I was tagged in videos on, yeah, everybody's laughing, but we were tagged in videos on social media of these things. And so it's like the enjoyment goes both ways. And I think that we're missing that here. JP Rio Stafford just said something that was very poignant to me. Everything that we've asked the applicant to do, he's agreed to. If I were in his, if I were the applicant, I don't know that I would agree to decrease the capacity by a third. I don't know that I would do that. I don't know that I would agree to some of these things. But everything that we're asking him to do, he's demonstrating that he really is operating in good faith, which leads me to believe that if there were something to come up and the people in the community talk to him about it, he would probably be agreeable with those things. And so it's like there's this picture being painted that, okay, we live here, it's our way or it's the highway, but then he's potentially missing out on revenue and all of these other things to make sure that this is harmonious, to make sure that this is compatible with that area. So, guys, I'm just hoping we can just give this a good vote tonight. I get that there are a lot of emotional things that are being said. I get that this is not my neighborhood. I don't live in it. I get all of that. But when we look at this objectively, what we see here is that we have an applicant who really is operating in good faith. We have an applicant that I believe will do the right thing. But I do think that it does take compromise on the parts of everyone that is involved. It is not fair for one group of people to say it's our way or the highway. That's not right either. And I guess just in the same way that it wasn't fair for him, that is why he made the decision to decrease the capacity by a third. I believe that there can be a wedding venue in that area that can be harmonious if everybody decides that it is going to be harmonious. If you're looking for problems, I promise you will find problems. If you're looking for solutions, I guarantee you, you will find solutions. And that's what I'm asking both parties on both sides of this issue to look for solutions. And I'm asking us as a court to not make up all these scenarios. You know, we don't know that people are going to be drunk. We don't know that there could be an accident. We don't know those things, but let's be solutions oriented. The CUP has already been approved by the planning board. We trust their expertise. Let's go ahead and just give this a good vote.
Thank you. With that, Justice Wilson.
Thank you, Judge. I just wanted to say, I know we're winding up, we're getting ready to hear from the public again. I just want to say in the spirit of transparency that I've wrestled with this a lot. I guess it's because I've honestly tried to look at both sides of this. And I wanted to say, looking down the road, I wanted to say this for the benefit of the citizens who have come to speak to this and the ones who they got a lot of emotion wrapped up in the issue, and I understand that, appreciate it, and respect it. I wanted to say that if this permit is passed this evening, to those who are opposed, my guess is it's not going to turn out as bad as your worst fears might be. The only reason I say that is because usually things that we dread, if you want to know how it's going to turn out, you can take the worst case scenario and imagine that, or the best case scenario. It's usually somewhere in the middle. It's not usually as bad as you might have feared. But whether it's passed or not, looking down the road, one of my concerns for our constituents is I would hope we'd have a lot of good neighbors working together, no matter what a decision is from us. I know that there's been a lawsuit out there. I don't go to Facebook for my source of information, but I know there's been some messy things on Facebook about this issue. We've had some things that have been said or suggested that is good information. People have made good points, and then there's been some nasty things said too. So my hope is that, well, on the Quorum Court, we don't reconcile disputes between neighbors. That's not really our role. But we want the best for everybody who lives in Washington County. What I'm going to say is people are going to have to be neighbors whether they want to or not, no matter how we vote here. And I wanted to say that for the benefit of those who are really vested in this, and I appreciate their input. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And with that, we'll move to public comments. Any public comments this evening? Public comments are 12 minutes total, 3 minutes per individual. Please state your name and where you're from.
Sherry Main, 15451 Riches Road, Fayetteville. I don't live in this area, but as a strong advocate for the planning rules and changes, I had to come up and say something. What J.P. Washington said earlier was right on. It was on target. I want to mention to each one of you, 15 sitting on this horseshoe that will be voting on this, that some of you may not have been sitting at the time when Terry Presley was denied a cup in 2016 for an event center in Greenland. And Planning Board approved it, but Quorum Court denied it. Presley appealed the cup denial, and it was overturned by the Arkansas Court of Appeals on March 6, 2019. It's now operating as White River Landing in Greenland. I read that case, and there was a lot of the same issues with this that kind of go along with that particular cup. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because you have to look at what's in front of you, the facts. I know it's a hard job, and the facts are presented. The only thing I can see that wasn't done was a traffic study. In the Presley case, there was a traffic study done on the guest in number leaving entering and exiting the venue. But I do want to mention there are several event venues in Washington County. Ponderosa Mountain Venue in Greenland, Stone Chapel at Matt Farm and Highway 45 East in Fayetteville, The Haven, north of Weir Road in Fayetteville, White River Landing, I already mentioned, in Greenland, Florence Farms, Northwest Arkansas, which is out on 16 East in Elkins, The Grand at Willow Springs in Prairie Grove, Plenty Woods Venue in Elkins, The Barn at the Springs in Springdale, The Winslow, which is in Winslow, Arkansas, and The Barn at Hat Creek, which is in Summers, Arkansas. Now, I'm not for sure if all of these have a cup. They're fairly new venues, so if they don't have one, they should have one. I'm just saying, you have to be fair and equitable to everyone that comes and applies for a cup. And if you meet the criteria that's at hand, I think you're hard-pressed to have a case there if it's appealed and gone on to the Court of Appeals. And like I said, the only thing I would mention is just that a traffic study. I did have someone say something about the traffic. So has a study been done, and is the county speed limit adequate for that particular road?
Thank you, Ms. Main. Public comments.
Thanks for letting me speak. I just wanted to introduce myself as I am the person that did reach out to Mr. Gully to talk, and we did have a very productive discussion the first time we met.
Will you please move closer to that mic? We have some auditory issues when it comes up this way in the room.
Okay.
It helps us hear better.
Okay, so in the spirit of trying to research with him and really talk about what it's like to live in these hills, because they're very hard to build in. And I know because I've been doing it for 3 years. I've built my own house by hand in those hills. And I know what it's like to dig septic, and I know what it's like to have water coming down at you, and what it takes to get it right. And yeah, it takes a lot of experience. And so what I wanted to share with you is that, you know, I reached out to him because I wanted him to come to my property and see some of the things that I've been doing to show him. And he, at that point, he didn't want to come. He didn't want to learn those things, and I'm very concerned. So I spent the last 2 weeks doing a lot of research based on something that you said, Justice Stafford. You asked, is this a gully? Is it really a drainage gully? And the truth is, it is. It's a 100-year floodplain of water that comes through that property. And it concerns me for the safety. And I sent all of you an email this morning that has videos of what that 100-year floodplain looks like. Coming through those mountains, it is no joke. And I'm very concerned that he's putting buildings there. And I'm concerned for the safety. So I looked further, and I asked the Office of the State Geologist to do a study on this property, because we've all been very concerned about, you know, people said from the very beginning it floods from the bottom. So I asked her to do a landslide study, because out there the soil is very unstable. It's built on shale. It's not built on karst land. It's different, and it collapses very easily. And she stated that this particular land is at very high risk for landslide to begin with, and then when you put all of these structures on the top of a slope, you're talking about 7 buildings, and then the water weight of the septic tanks plus a commercial septic, which changes the chemistry of the soil, and it liquefies the clay and drops the slope, okay? And this is a very dangerous situation that we're talking about putting guests in. And I want you guys to know that the state geologist, I sent you guys the report, that's what in the packet that I gave you. She wrote me this report to share with you because she's very concerned. And I do hope that you heed that. And I do believe we missed the point from the very beginning as far as what we asked of Mr. Gully to begin with. I think that we should have asked for geological studies. You're coming out to an area that has not been built before. And I believe that we need to make sure that we do geological studies, have geoengineers out there. Because I'm telling you, if you move that big boulder the way you do it in the city, you're going to have a landslide. So I really hope, for Mr. Gully's sake, I don't want him to lose his dream.
That's time. Public comments.
Hello, my name is Jacob White. I live at 15582 East Black Oak Road. I had a nice, pretty PowerPoint to show y'all, but I don't think I'm gonna get the opportunity to do that. So you're lucky you get spared that opportunity. So one of my PowerPoint slides was a map showing the location of all the local neighbors who are opposed. This is not one or two neighbors opposed. This is nearly unanimous local opposition from the local area. I think that goes to factor 4 to compatibility. You're hearing from normal Washington County residents that live in the Black Oak community that they don't think this is appropriate. So that's factor number 4. You know, there's a lot of conversation about other event venues. I ask you this: do any of those other event venues have a driveway, a private road that nearly surrounds one other neighbor? Do any of these other event venues have 3 flood basin catchments put in? They obviously know that runoff is an issue because there's 3 of these basins that are being that are required in this permit. Okay, so there was this conversation about whether or not the cabins are part of the conditional use. Y'all remember that last time, right? They've agreed that we're just hearing this today. They're going to move the cabins. I FOIA'd the planning file since the last meeting. There is an email from Brandon Weiss, the engineer with Bates. Now, y'all remember, Bates came up here and said, hey, we just put the cabins in this application so you know the full vision. It's not part of the conditional use. I don't know if y'all remember being told that, but you were told that. His email says, I just want to double check one thing for you. Quote, the driveway, parking lot, event center, and cabins come out to 5 acres, dash, items directly used for the cup. I'm a lawyer, that's an admission, right? That's a legal admission that the cabins, the use of the cabins is part of the CUP. So if you don't consider these cabins, that email is going to be in court, right? You have to consider the cabins and their use as part of the conditional use. Planning condition number 11, prepared by staff. Quote, the proposed 5 rental cabins are intended to serve the event center visitors, part of the conditional use. You got good legal advice last time from your counsel. The zoning requires 1 acre per single family residential. This parcel is 5 acres with 6 cabins. It is. Anyone can look at this CUP application. I know what they're going to say. They're going to say, well, we're changing it to 6 acres. But in a mortgage filed in September of this last year, they described the parcel as 5 acres. So what they're telling their financing partners is this parcel with the cabins actually only has 5 acres. Six homes, 5 acres. All right, I know I'm running out of time. I do want to talk about one of the conditions, the maintenance agreement on the road.
Mr. White, that is time. Public comments.
Hello again. There's been a lot of speculation about things, There's been a lot of speculation and conjecture about things that could happen out there, but there hasn't really been any facts. And the experts who design septic tanks and drainage have already provided permits for the septics. We already have the permit from ADEQ. Their engineers in those departments determine what's adequate for drainage, not the neighbors, not me, not Mr. Gully. We have engineers doing that. There's been a concern raised about the fact that there's 3 ponds. He could have 1 pond if he wanted to. He chose to do this as a design feature, as the engineers told you at the last meeting. It's going to be beautiful. There will be waterfalls coming from one pond to another. It has nothing to do with the fact that there's a drainage issue. All of this is professionally engineered to make sure there's not a drainage issue. And Mr. Gully has shown that he's willing to compromise, as he's done here at this meeting. Nobody that's opposed to this project has approached us offering any kind of solution, asking us to make any concession that we haven't already asked. It's either, it's don't do it at all is what they want, and that's not what we're here for. And I want to talk about this, the cabins being part of the CUP. They are part of the large-scale development plan. That's different than the CUP. And he already has approval for his large-scale development, and he will have to come back and talk to somebody at the planning board about moving the cabins. But you can't convert an already legal use to something that has to have a condition just because it's on the same drawing. And I looked at the CUP, the staff report this afternoon before I came here, and it specifically says that those cabins could be used in conjunction with the event center or separately. he's allowed to have cabins on his property. And the issue of whether it's 5 acres, 6 acres, he can parcel it out however he wants to. He could build 69 houses out there if he wanted to. He'd obviously have to get septic permits, but he has 69 acres, he could build 69 houses. Instead, he's trying to build 5 tiny little cabins and a event center that's 3,375 square feet, which is smaller than the neighbor's house. You've seen the design, we had it in our PowerPoint. It's a beautiful building. It's not going to be an eyesore. This is going to be a beautiful place where people can go and have experience with nature. And I understand people are saying he could have a ranch anyway. Well, we're applying for a conditional use permit so he can have an event center that will include agricultural use primarily on the land. This is just a small part of it. And thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That's time, and that's our total of 12 minutes pending a motion. I have a motion to suspend the rules and add 3 minutes of public comment time by Justice Pond, second by Justice Rivera Lopez. Come forward. Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor? Those opposed? Come forward, sir.
Thank you for the additional minutes. My name is Harold Davis. I live at 10457 South Harris Road. Our property comes up just almost to his backyard of what Mr. Gull is wanting to do. You know, everyone out there has a dream, and I applaud Mr. Gully for being a visionary, but I also am a visionary. Everyone out there is a visionary. However, we did seek an area with an agricultural zoning because that was the vision we had. To tell you a little about myself, I'm a wartime veteran, operated in a war zone. I was nearby, I can't tell you exactly where, but very close to the Beirut Marine Barracks bombing. We lost over 240 men at that, the largest loss of military of a Marine life since Iwo Jima. So with that said, I came into the workforce believing in America. And we have dreams, and our dream was to live in the country, outside of city limits. And though we don't have the vast amounts of money some people have, we gave it everything we had. Most people out in our community gave it everything to live out there. People that live out in the country, you may not realize this. It costs us a great deal of money to live out in the country. To live in a small country home, for what it costs in extra insurance, wear and tear on our vehicles, we made great sacrifice to do this. We could have lived in a McMansion in the middle of Fayetteville if we wanted to for the same amount of money, but we chose to live a very simple life. And the majority of our neighbors want a simple life that this doesn't jive with. People that don't live out there, they live in the city, but they want to come out to our area and ride horses and drink and have parties. And, you know, you can call it anything you want, but we've got a community center right there, the Black Oak Baptist Church. So we have a community center, and we are doing quite well. We chose to live out there for a reason.
Thank you, sir. That's time expired. I appreciate it. With that, we're going to take up the question.
I've got 2 more pages.
I have the motion to pass item number 9 by Justice Secchi, and I had a second by Justice Washington. Mr. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Justice Lyons? No. Justice Ecke? Yes. Justice Dean? No. Justice Washington? Yes. Justice Koger? No. Justice Dennis? Yes. Justice Hires? Yes. Justice Rios Stafford? Yes. Justice Lemming? No. Justice Ricker? No. Justice Pond? No. Justice Bruns? No. Justice Wilson? No. Justice Massengill? Yes. Justice Rivera Lopez? No.
Item 9 fails. Pending objection, I'd like to take a 10-minute break. Let's take a recess.
Thank you.
Can you send Sam, no, Sam, if you'll tell Sam where it is, he'll go out and take a look and check it out. It's on 62. On the left. Right around the turn. What's Scott at?
2 minutes. We're going to try to get restarted in 2 minutes. Thirty seconds. 30-second warning. All right. With that, we're going to bring the meeting back to order. I appreciate everyone. With that, we're on to item number 10. Counselor, will you read that by title only?
Item 10 is a resolution of the Washington County Quorum Court expressing support for poultry producers in the Illinois River watershed and urging a return to good faith negotiations.
Justice Ricker?
Motion to pass.
Motion. I have a motion to pass item number 10 by Justice Ricker. I heard second by Justice Lemming. Dennis, okay, somebody own up to it. Second by Justice. That's very cordial, Justice Dennis. I heard second by Justice Lemming. Further discussion on this item, Justice Lemming?
Well, when I was on the way up here, I wanted to go to that meeting that you didn't get to go to, and I didn't either because I was out of town, but I talked to a few guys that was there, and on record that Attorney General had made the statement that all farmers was doing what they needed to be doing to protect the watershed. But he did also make a comment in the fact that that Simmons Foods had put a bunch of signs up, political signs over there trying to, I guess, bash him, and he said they're gonna pay for all of that. That's just his comments he made today at that meeting, so I hope we can all, the farmers are doing their part, and we just need to keep pushing this to get this thing put behind us. And I did hear that George's Foods come up with a settlement too today on their behalf of it, so. But anyway, we need to pass it. Thank you.
Justice Rivera Lopez?
I would like to parrot some of the sentiments that were made by my fellow justice here. There's a saying that goes, when two elephants fight, only the grass suffers. And as we look out at this, whether it be from our poultry processors or the Attorney General, I would ask that we not let our farmers become collateral for whatever dispute that they're having. Ultimately, I know the plight of these farmers. I don't believe it's a plight that's far too different from my mother's plight or the plight of so many of my constituents who go to work every day and do their part. They hang on the promise of someone else, and they bury their hopes that things will continue so long as they do their hard work. And I would implore all parties involved to return to good faith and, again, like I said, not allow these farmers to be collateral to whatever they're posturing for. Thank you, Judge.
Justice Pond?
My compliments to George's for coming to the bargaining table and having an agreement with the folks over in Oklahoma. I think it's a real good show of leadership, and they've helped their growers out of the fire. They're probably still in the frying pan, but they're out of the fire for this at this time. Thank you.
Justice Rios Stafford?
Thank you, Judge. I wrote something for this tonight. I am supporting this resolution because it is about two resources that we have to protect: our local farmers and our watershed. Both of them matter to Washington County's economy, and in both cases, once they're gone, they're gone. We can't sit by and watch a farming industry get destroyed that supports families across our county. Some of these farms have been in local families for generations. Just as important, we have to protect the Illinois River watershed. It waters the crops in this county. It provides drinking water for Siloam Springs and Tahlequah. It's used for fishing and kayaking, and there are 6 wastewater treatment plants that rely on it. It's critical infrastructure, just like an interstate. We would never let an interstate crumble. If we let the river go to pot, clean water gets more expensive for everybody. But what has made this ongoing court case and this sudden decision so heartbreaking is the uncertainty that it has brought to our local farmers who are not even part of it. Our farmers are getting squeezed on both sides, stuck between a rock and a hard place. Big government on one side and big corporations on the other side. Many of the growers will tell you that in practice, they're told what to do and how to do it by the corporations that they sell to. And now the people with the least control and the least leverage are carrying the heaviest burden of this whole fight. And that's why I think it's important for us to speak up and help give them some leverage. The two sides, the government and the corporations, need to come together, just like this resolution says, talk to each other, and work something out. Our farmers deserve credit for making major long-term progress in cutting the phosphorus in the watershed. Right now, they're not getting credit for that progress, even as our region has grown. We've been heading in the right direction, and that matters. But instead of taking those good faith efforts into account, that progress has been ignored, and these farmers are being punished the same as if they'd made no progress. That's why I support this resolution, agreements based on science, and a push for the parties to start talking in good faith, like it sounds like George's has with the Attorney General in Oklahoma. We've seen ourselves in the last few months how a federal court case can drag on, be expensive, and create uncertainty for everyone. I believe the two sides in this case can come to a solution that protects the river and protects our farm families. I'll be voting yes on this.
Thank you, Justice Rios Stafford. Any further discussion by the board, the body? Any public comments on item number 10? Seeing none, we'll take up the question. I have a motion to pass by Justice Ricker, second by Justice Lemming. Mr. Allen, please call the roll.
Justice Lyons? Yes. Justice Ecke? Yes. Justice Dean? Yes. Justice Washington? Yes. Justice Koger? Yes. Justice Dennis? Yes. Justice Hires? Yes. Justice Rios Stafford? Yes. Justice Lemming? Yes. Justice Ricker? Yes. Justice Pond? Yes. Justice Bruns? Yes. Justice Wilson? Yes. Justice Massengill? Yes. Justice Rivera Lopez? Yes.
That item passes unanimously. I appreciate each and every one of you. That's a very good statement for our producers. Justice Bruns?
I'm so sorry, but could we get this room above 40 degrees by any chance? I'm about to freeze to death. Okay, I yield.
Okay.
Sorry.
Counselor, will you please read item number 11 by title only?
Item 11 is a resolution certifying local government endorsement of Packaging Specialties Incorporated to participate in the Tax Back Program as authorized by Arkansas Code Annotated Section 15-4-2706D of the Consolidated Incentive Act of 2023.
Justice Rios Stafford?
Thank you, Judge. This business is located in my JP district, and I move to approve this resolution.
I'd like to second it. Karen Biggs lives in my district, and she's the owner.
Okay.
With Hayes Springs.
Justice Lyons, will you yield? I have a motion to pass by Justice Rios Stafford and a second by Justice Ecke. Any further discussion on this item? Any public comments on item number 11? Seeing none, we'll take up the question. I have a motion to pass item number 11 by Justice Rios Stafford and a second by Justice Ecke. Mr. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Justice Lyons?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Justice Ecke? Yes. Justice Dean?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Justice Washington? Yes. Justice Koger? Yes. Justice Dennis? Yes. Justice Hires? Yes. Justice Rios Stafford? Yes. Justice Lemming? Yes. Justice Ricker? Yes. Justice Pond? Yes. Justice Bruns? Yes. Justice Wilson? Yes. Justice Massengill? Yes. Justice Rivera Lopez? Yes.
Item number 11 passes. Item number 12, Counselor, will you read that by title only?
A resolution affirming that a property in the unincorporated portion of the county creates unsanitary conditions and may be abated.
Justice Lyons.
Thank you, Judge. I move we pass item.
A lot of competition for the seconds tonight, I'll note. I have a motion to pass by Justice Lyons and a second by Justice Dean. Any further discussion by the body? Justice Lemming?
I think this is a real good ideal, and I think we need to do more of this in the coming future, because we've got a lot of stuff that needs attention.
I believe this is a process that has seemed to work so far. I want to appreciate Justice Lyons for being open to this for like kind of the first run through of this. But as you justices come up with concerns, please let us know and we'll carry this forward just like we've done this one. Any further discussion by the body? Justice Bruns?
I just would like to ask, beg, whatever I need to do for us to remember Kenneth Price Road. That has been an issue for 11 years.
I appreciate that. I think the main difference, this building's vacant. I want the justices to remember, if it is a resident, if it is a domicile, that is a completely different, that's a different issue, Justice Bruns. And so I appreciate your patience with that issue. We would love to discuss that with you because each one of these will be fact-based, case by case.
Well, there's a lot of things we can do with that one to make it better for the residents.
I appreciate that. And I think tonight we'll stick with this item.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion by the body? Any public comments on item number 12? Seeing none, we'll take up the question. I have a motion passed by Justice Lyons, second by Justice Dean. Mr. Allen, please call the roll.
Justice Lyons? Yes. Justice Ecke? Yes. Justice Dean?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Justice Washington? Yes. Justice Koger? Yes. Justice Dennis? Yes. Justice Hires? Yes. Justice Rios Stafford? Yes. Justice Lemming. Yes. Justice Ricker. Yes. Justice Pond. Yes. Justice Bruns. Yes. Justice Wilson. Yes. Justice Massengill. Yes. Justice Rivera Lopez. Yes.
Item number 12 passes. Item number 13 is the consent agenda. Counselor, will you read each of those items by title only?
Item 13.1 is an ordinance recognizing and appropriating additional revenue in the amount of $30,678.93 in the county library budget for 2026. Item 13.2 is an ordinance anticipating and appropriating additional revenue in the amount of $82,951 in the drug court grant fund budget for 2026 and other matters pertaining thereto. Item 13.3 is an ordinance amending the DEM budget for 2026. Item 13.4 is an ordinance recognizing and appropriating additional revenue in the amount of $5,885 in the Circuit Court 4 budget for 2025.
Justice Lyons?
I move we pass the consent agenda.
I have a motion to pass the consent agenda by Justice Lyons, second by Justice Dean. He's early on it again, I'm sorry. Second by Justice Dean. Any discussion on the consent agenda by the body? Any public comments on the consent agenda? Seeing none, we'll take up the question. I have a motion to pass the consent agenda by Justice Lyons, second by Justice Dean. Mr. Allen, please call the roll.
Justice Lyons. Yes, sir. Yes. Justice Ecke. Yes. Justice Dean.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Justice Washington. Yes. Justice Coger. Yes. Justice Dennis. Yes. Justice Hires. Yes. Justice Rios Stafford. Yes. Justice Lemming. Yes. Justice Ricker. Yes. Justice Pond. Yes. Justice Bruns. Yes. Justice Wilson. Yes. Justice Massengill. Yes. Justice Rivera Lopez. Yes.
The consent agenda passes. We had both county services and finance and budget committees. Those reports are in your packet. With that, we'll be adjourned.